dangerous when it's easy. Now!
Hey guys, this is Drax back with another how-to guide, my first video in 2018. And this time we'll be looking at my favourite Jedi in game, REY. So REY is still quite a mysterious character. Added into Star Wars canon through the film The Force Awakens, she is a scavenger from Jakku. No ordinary scavenger though, as she is strong in the Force, skilled with a weapon, and is an excellent pilot. Without any training, she easily matches Kylo Ren in a lightsaber battle, and in Battlefront 2 she is probably the best Jedi out of the three currently available. Here she is voiced by Daisy Ridley herself, and her three abilities are Dash, Strike, Insight and Mind Trick. Her weapon of choice being Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. So now getting into the first ability, this is Dash Strike. Here REY charges forward with her lightsaber, knocking down any enemies in her path. This also deals damage and opens up enemies for a second attack. Each hit with a lightsaber deals good damage, with a maximum of 3 hits needed to kill any infantry unit. Mostly it will only take 2 though, so the dash followed by an immediate strike will usually reward you with the kill. This ability is both great for aggression and evasion. Multiple targets in a line, no problem for REY, as she can simply charge through them all. It's great for bridging gaps too, whether that be whilst attacking an enemy or whilst running away from a group of them. The dash strike gives REY a nice speed boost in a singular direction, which is sometimes exactly what you need when multiple heavies with their supercharged sentries have you in their sights. A key thing to remember with the dash strike is that you do not need to complete the whole animation. It can be broken with a lightsaber swing, maybe after hitting your desired target, by a dodge in any direction, maybe if you need to go on the defensive, and the use of the jump button or other abilities. Keep this in mind, as sometimes completing the dash animation in foe could end with you taking too much damage, so to break the animation is a good call in certain situations. The next ability is Insight, and this is my favourite ability for REY. Here she uses her advanced senses to detect any enemies whilst also blocking them from seeing her on their radars. Since she can't see enemies close by through walls and other obstacles, closing in and taking out one after another is made a lot easier with this one active. It's basically an advanced infiltration ability but with a lightsaber. On top of this, her stamina is unlimited throughout the duration of the ability and her damage is increased. Now REY definitely doesn't suffer with low stamina. She can swing her lightsaber around 8 times before it runs out, and this is depicted by the red circle around the reticule. Basically, when you do run out of stamina, you won't be able to block or deflect shots anymore. You can still attack and it still does the same damage, so the benefit to having unlimited stamina is simply that you can attack and block as much as you want whilst the Insight ability is active. This unlimited stamina is mainly useful for any situation where you need to block a ton of incoming damage, that possibly being from a few lightsabers. Because this one is so good for both offense and defense, I would say it's her best ability. But then of course she does have Mind Trick as well, and this one reverses the controls of any opponents affected, confusing clones and spinning the heads of droids. Basically, if they try to back away from you, they will move forward instead. Whatever they press on their movement controls, the opposite will be done in game. Once again, an ability which can be used defensively, but be cautious with this one as enemies can still fire and deal damage. The smart ones who know that they have been Mind Tricked will simply use the controls in reverse until it wears off. So when is the best time to use it? I would say when you've caught the enemy off guard. If they see REY, they normally expect to be Mind Tricked. I know I do. But if you use Insight first to get the jump on opponents and then follow up with a Mind Trick, you should see some good results with this one, especially in Galactic Assault. Just make sure you activate the ability when you are not under fire, as she stands still and performs an animation at the start of it. In Heroes vs Villains, I find triggering this one near any ledges or drops is always a good idea, as enemies will often walk themselves off the ledge, which is pretty hilarious. Reversing the whole team's controls will leave them at a disadvantage, at which time your own team should be able to capitalise on this. So that's the abilities, and since we've talked a bit about our main weapon, that being Luke's lightsaber, let's go straight into the star cards. And yes, REY has a few great cards which I switch around a bit to get the best out of her in both modes currently available. So let's start with the Galactic Assault loadout. And my first star card here has got to be Focus Sight. This is the only card that I would say is a must for both Galactic Assault and HVV. At top tier, this will increase the duration of Insight by 7 seconds. Like I said, I think this is her best ability, so to increase the time per use, being off the radar, seeing other enemies' precise locations, seeing them through walls, getting the damage increase and the unlimited stamina for an extra 7 seconds is for me a no-brainer. The next one I go with is Farsight, which increases the area of effect by 50% at top tier when using Insight. I love the Insight ability, so once again I'm giving it a bit more power to help me pick off targets during that extended duration, which we got from the previous card. And finally I have Survivor. I love this type of card, and as the name suggests, it gives Rey better survivability. When she defeats a trooper she gets 20 health back, and when she defeats a villain she'll gain even more, up to a maximum of 60 health. I personally think all heroes should have either a health buff or a card like this. With the card, it makes using them in Galactic Assault much more tactical, as when you do lose a bit of health in an engagement, you can then look for singular targets to pick off and regain that health. My top 3 heroes all have a card like this. One honourable mention I will say is the card Resilient Dash. At top tier, this will give you a 40% reduction in damage taken when using the dash strike. I've stuck with Farsight on my loadout, but I could understand using this card instead. It's 40% less damage, so you can be more confident in your aggression when using the dash strike ability, so that's a possibility right there. But now let's move on to the heroes versus villains loadout, and once again the first card is Focus Sight. Mainly in this mode you want the extra damage and unlimited stamina, using the Insight to buff Rey up before she gets into a fight. The next is Deep Mind. At max tier this will add 30% extra duration onto the mind trick ability for any targets that have been revealed by Insight. Insight is pretty much going to be active as much as possible, so here we'll also be buffing up the mind trick ability, frustrating opponents for a longer amount of time. The base duration of the ability was already pretty good, but 30% longer is of course better. And finally, to top it all off, I go with Opportunist. And now Rey will also deal 15 bonus damage at top tier to anyone affected by any immobilizing effect, including her own mind trick. So that's a bit more damage against any target that has been immobilized, not only by your own ability, but also by any of your teammates' immobilizing abilities. Pretty much with this loadout, Rey is consistently putting out high damage. So that's the cards I use for both Galactic Assault and HVV. These are my recommendations, what have worked best for me. You might have something different that works well for you, but as this is a guide, I'm just giving people an idea of a few cards that work out well. So now here are some final tips for dominating with Rey. The first is pretty standard, make sure to block to reduce incoming damage. Combine blocking and deflecting with the Insight ability when you need to make use of that unlimited stamina against both large groups of infantry and against villains. You also shouldn't spam the attack button, only use it for the amount of times you actually want to hit. Spamming can lead to time wasted and unnecessary damage being taken. She, like other lightsaber users, has a dodge that she can perform by using the row button. This breaks the animation of the dash strike and is useful for avoiding damage in general. It can be useful to bridge gaps and also on the odd occasion when you have no stamina left to block, so dodging will help you out there until you get your stamina back. Also, like other force users, she can jump pretty high and has the speed to get around the map easily. You can use the jump to get away or surprise opponents. Her speed is useful to both track down and run away from enemies when needed. And finally, Rey has the most base health of any Jedi in the game at the time of making this video, so she has a bit more survivability than the others. Combine that with her offensive abilities and she can definitely be played in a more aggressive fashion than both Luke and Yoda. Don't be afraid to get in there and do some damage. In conclusion, Rey is without a doubt a strong hero in game. Her abilities are up there with some of the best to use. I would describe Rey as an aggressive infiltrator with a mind trick up her sleeve. If you can master her abilities and combine them with the right star cards, then I'm absolutely sure you will dominate the battlefront with Rey. So that's the guide right there. Next video up should be some funny moments, and then I have the Emperor Palpatine guide. I'll try to do both of those on the same day. Hopefully you have found this one entertaining and useful in some way. Make sure to leave any thoughts you have below. Maybe let me know what hero and villain you think DICE should add to the game next. I'll be back soon, but for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Not going your way. This is over.